نشكر المتحدثين. سأبتدئ الأسئلة موجهة للدكتور باتريك فقط لتنشيط بداية النقاش. Dr. Patrick, you've discussed in your presentation the issue of life expectancy. My question to you is, how do you see life expectancy within the next 50 years?
Thank you. First of all, can I say how fascinated I was by the presentation. I was completely blown away by that video that took us back so many years into the past. I must find out where you got it from. It's fantastic. Life expectancy, well, what a strange thing to go 18 billion, was it 18 billion? 13 billion years into the past, and now we're looking at life expectancy in the next 30 years. It puts us in our place. I think that it all depends on who you are. Okay, let me explain. I think that if you are living in a place like Zimbabwe at the moment, and you are a man, then your life expectancy may only be 45 years, and actually I hope it would improve to maybe 55 or even 65 years as the country settles down over the next 10 or 15 years. But if you are a well-educated person, the very fact that you are in this room adds an extra 5 years to your average life expectancy. Because if you are in the upper socio-demographic group, if you are well-educated, thoughtful, intelligent, and if your parents have a certain amount of wealth, then in a country like Saudi Arabia or in my country, then straight away you have an extra 5 years. So it does depend who you are, but I'm dodging the question. And the real answer to your question, I think, is this, that the biggest jumps in life expectancy will happen in countries where many children still die at a young age of preventable illnesses. And as we improve the survival of children from the age of 0 to 5, we see a huge jump in a country's life expectancy. But for a country which is already developed like this one, which has a good health system, then I think that we will see, you will see a correction. I think the current life expectancy forecasts for today are probably not correct, okay? So we probably need to be revised up by 2 or 3 or 4 years in some cases, certainly in my country. And that's a catch-up process. And then I think we will continue to see a baseline improvement of 1 year every 4 years on top of that. And then we will see some additional jumps, probably of an extra 5 years over the next 20, at least, because of medical advance.
Excellent. Excellent. دكتور خالد، كان جميل جدا شرحك لصندوق الحياة. سؤالي لك، هل تعتقد أن مبدأ الخلود مبدأ مبجولين عليه كبشر؟
لا طبعا، احنا يعني سنفنى، كل شيء يفنى، لكن قد نطيل عمر الليجاسي والأثر اللي يصنعه الإنسان لنفسه. غريب سؤالك لأنه أيضا قريب من إطالة عمر الإنسان بسبب التقنيات الجديدة، لكن أيضا احنا ينبغي أن نعرف أن إطالة عمر الإنسان ليس بالضرورة خيرا محضا، يعني لأن تخيل حجم الضغط على الموارد المالية والاقتصادية والبيئية لو كان عمر الإنسان 150 سنة مثلا. سترين اون ريسورسز يعني بيكون عالي. لو إنسان يتقاعد عمره 60 ويظل على راتب التقاعدي أكثر من 90 سنة، راح تكون في مشاكل كبيرة يعني على الميزان الاجتماعي. فالمسألة يعني أود أن نتعالى على الأحاديث التبشيرية فقط إلى محاولة معرفة الدلالات الحقيقية لأي تكنولوجيا تتقدم أو أي وعود احنا نعد فيه تجاه المستقبل. كما أن المعرفة تتضخم وتتضاعف، لكن أيضا لها هاف لايف، تفنى وتبلى. أنا عندما درست المدرسة كان هناك كثير من المعلومات ليست موجودة الآن، ليست حقيقية. أنا كان لما درست في المدرسة كان أكبر دولة في شيء اسمه الاتحاد السوفيتي ليس موجودا الآن. هناك معلومات تفنى أيضا. كان عدد الكواكب 9 الآن عددها 8. فالمسألة مو مسألة أن فقط هناك المزيد من المعارف اللي ينبغي علينا أن نحصل عليها، أيضا هناك أن تكون لدينا آلية للتخلص معلومات التي لا نريدها، أو ربما يكون هناك خلط بين المعلومات والمعرفة. المعلومات ليست كالمعرفة. المعرفة هي عبارة عن معلومات منتظمة يطبقها إطار ويوحدها هدف يدافع المرء عنها بالحجج ويصنع به الأسئلة لكي يكتشف حقيقة من حقائق هذا الكون. هنا أتوقع أن حديثنا عن المعرفة يفرق عن المجتمع. ربما نحن نعيش في انفجلات ومجتمع معلوماتي، لكن أظن ما زلنا على بعد سنوات ضوئية من مفهوم مجتمع المعرفة. وهنا الخلط اللي أحببت أن أشير له في حديثي، لأن المسألة مو مسألة فقط أنك أنت تراكم المعلومات، أينما كيف تستطيع أن تعرف أو يعني يسنتسايز تصنع تشكيلة من هذه المعلومات تعينك على إجابة سؤال مهم من أسئلتك في هذا الكون.
So back to you, Dr. Patrick. I think Dr. Khalid brings a very interesting question in regards to information overload. How do we handle such overload within the next 50 years or even beyond? How can we synthesize the right type of information? What type of information should we be selecting, and how can we be selective of such information?
I agree with you totally that information is useless unless it is formed into a meaningful way, which of course creates the knowledge. I often say that we need foresight and insight to be able to see ahead and understand what it means. Information overload, we often talk about this, and I think the challenge is seeing patterns in data, isn't it? I think that the next generation of search engines will be helpful to us. At the moment, you see a search engine that produces an answer on the internet when you type in a keyword. But Google and other companies are experimenting with new innovations to understand what you're really thinking about and to be able to produce a summary of what human beings understand, of what human knowledge around that particular topic, to, as it were, almost engage you in a conversation as a very expert professor would. And so I think that kind of intelligence will be very, very important. As for email, it's so last century as a communication device. Because it just gets full of rubbish, of course.
True, I agree. نفتح الأسئلة للجمهور. نبتدي من اللي يبغى أول سؤال. تفضلوا. المايك. ليت في البداية تقدم بس اسمك
اسم حاتم سلمان المرواني من مدينة ينبع الصناعية، معلم فيزياء في ثانوية ابن خلدون. My question for Dr. Patrick. I have a black image I want to share with you for our future. We already have a problem with infrastructure, overpopulation, and we can associate this problem. We cannot ignore this problem. Problem with jobs, with education. In 20 years, this problem will increase. Did you think this problems takes our mental energy for scientists like you? And maybe in 20 years, we focus and solve a problem more than technology. We focus with dealing with this problem more anything else. Or maybe this problem is other way to more technology, more new things. What do you believe?
I'm having difficulty because there's no loudspeaker on the stage.
Here.
I cannot hear.
Perfectly.
I'm not able to hear.
But I think the question, and correct me if I'm wrong. The question was framed as there are problems that do exist currently that will increase over time.
Yes.
And we might be draining our mental capacity by solving them rather than creating new technology. Is that one way or the
Yes,
next.
yes, I understand that. I think that it's always a dilemma for scientists. I think you're right. Do we fix the old problems, or do we turn a page on human history and go and develop a new future? And you can see this example being played out in the energy industry at the moment. Do we find ways to use energy more efficiently? Do we find ways to, for example, use the flaring that is wasted as a gas on the top of a refinery and recycle that kind of power? Or do we invest in a completely new technology and start building solar cells in the desert? I think we need both. One of the great things is that I think one helps the other. That, the greatest inventions in science have often been accidental. It's as we are trying to solve today's problem, we discover a solution for tomorrow. I'll give you an example of a strange technology, which I showed on one of my slides. We now have the ability to extract uranium from seawater. Amazingly, we can, even in a prototype, we can do so for only 3 times the current cost of uranium. And uranium is only 3% of the cost of a nuclear reactor. So it's actually already, even with today's innovation, quite affordable to start thinking about a nuclear reactor where 9% of the building cost is uranium, and it all comes from seawater. And the good news is we would have enough uranium in seawater to last us at least 10,000 years. So I don't know who discovered that, but my guess is they were not trying initially to solve a nuclear problem. They were probably doing something about desalination, or maybe they were studying aquifers, or maybe they were looking at coral reefs. It's extraordinary how, I'm saying, how different technologies touch each other. So I think we can solve today and imagine the future, both together.
تسمح لي، أنا أعتقد من فهمنا تاريخ التكنولوجيا وتاريخ العلوم، البشرية لم تكن متأهبة لاختراع الطابعة، لكن تأتي عادة التكنولوجيا وتعيد تشكيل البشرية وتعيد تشكيل العقل الإنساني والفكر الإنساني. البشرية لم تكن متأهبة للإيميل ولا لحبوب منع الحمل، ولا ما صار عليها تصويت حتى نختار نحول هنا نبدأ نستخدم الإيميل ولا لا. دائما تأتي التكنولوجيا وتغير تلقائيا في الDNA حق المجتمع والمعرفة الإنسانية. وكما يقولون العصر الحجري لم ينتهي بسبب انتهاء الحجارة. هكذا هي العلوم والتكنولوجيا تغير، وهذا هو اللي يبقى في مخيلة الإنسان بعد يعني عشرات ومئات السنين. يعني فقط نحن نتذكر الإنجازات العلمية والتكنولوجية في لحظات معينة.
سؤال من الأخوات.
I have a question for Dr. Patrick. In your presentation, you talked about stem cell in curing diseases. In the world, are doctors free to use stem cell in curing diseases and helping patients, or is it still under research and ethical debates?
Okay, thank you. Let me say that the issue of stem cells is divided into 2 pieces. One, for me, I say is, for me personally, I say I'm very uncomfortable about. The other, I am completely happy about. The area I am very, very, very uneasy and unhappy about is taking a stem cell from an embryo or from a fetus that has been aborted. For me, this is medicine in a very dark place. The area I feel very comfortable about is taking some stem cells from someone's own body and using them to generate some tissue for themselves or for someone else. And the wonderful news is this: I predicted 10 years ago that we would be able to do whatever we wish to do with stem cells using stem cells from someone who has been born. We do not need to use embryos. Now, there are many, many countries which have rules, strict rules, against using embryo stem cells from embryos. But many countries are relaxed about growing cells from your own body, because we have been doing this for generations. We do it to treat bone marrow cancer. We take bone marrow from you, we grow stem cells, and we use those to give to a donor to stop them from dying when we have irradiated their body to kill the cancer. So I think stem cells have a wonderful future. They should not be controversial when we use adult stem cells, and I think they need to be used wisely, and like every research, we need to take care, because if you're not careful, you can also introduce a cancer, because stem cells are cells which grow very, very quickly, and sometimes they can go out of control. But I think it's a very wise and a helpful question. Thank you.
Excellent. سؤال ثاني من الأخوان. المايك.
أنا محمد موسى خان هنا من مدينة الطائف. سؤال للأستاذ خالد، أنت تكلمت عن 6 أخطاء بس ما ذكرت إلا خطأ واحد، فما أدري باقي الأخطاء.
أظن قدرتك على اكتشاف الأخطاء يبي لها مزيد من التمحيص، لأن ذكرت 6 أخطاء في المحاضرة.
أنت ذكرت 6 أخطاء بس اللي يعني ذكرت اللي بينت لنا إياه غلط واحد.
إيه ما راح أشرحها لكم عاد. كنت أحاول اختبار البديهة، بس تبون أقولها لكم يعني؟
أكيد.
طيب بعد المحاضرة عشان ما تصير فضيحة بعدين.
طيب شكرا.
سؤال مايك هنا لو تكرمت. المايك هنا لو تفضل.
بس يعني حتى المعلومات، معظم المعلومات ذكرتها صحيحة، يعني ما في شيء يغير في المضمون، يعني في أشياء تمشي أسرع من سرعة الضوء. هذا سؤالك.
Excuse me.
تفضل.
Dr. Dixon, you said that the future is about emotion. Do you think that in the future we might be able to alter emotions themselves or to measure the emotions such that before any two get coupled together, we can measure the emotions of both such that in the future we are going to have happy lives and no divorces?
And if you may, can you introduce yourself as well? Name.
My name is Ibrahim Olwi from King Abdulaziz University.
Thank you. That's an interesting question. You know, I think that what you're talking about, the center of what you're talking about, of course, is fulfillment. It's having a happy life and being able to understand what makes people happy. I think that, you know, there's a new science called happynomics. I don't like the word necessarily very much, but it's the idea that we can measure the happiness of a society. And actually, I think that sometimes as scientists, as leaders, as governments, we can be scared of emotion. We see a lot of emotion producing terrible things in the world. And sometimes we, therefore, I think we don't study emotion very much. We kind of hope to keep the emotions down. But, for the fear that emotion will lead people to do things which are irrational and terrible in society. But yet, I think you're right that we are going to need more sophisticated tools to try to understand how, not just an individual will react, but how a whole community will. It's interesting, there was an interesting project I have seen in the room here about hashtags and Twitter and producing heat maps of tweets. I don't know if the person who did that project is here. Most interesting, because hashtags are often an indicator of passion. You know, what is it that stirs someone to make a tweet or to retweet something? It's not usually just an idea. It's something that connects. And I think measuring these things is very important. But you're right, we lack the tools to do so.
سؤال من الأخوات.
I have a question for Dr. Patrick. First, it's truly astonishing that in a number of years we will be able to make use of the various advancements in technology and science, as you mentioned in your lecture.
It's astonishing that we are just having difficulty hearing on the platform here. Yes. Okay. What was the last part of your statement?
That in a number of years we will be able to make use of the various advancements in technology and science. whether in health or curing diseases or in different areas. So my question here is, in order for these advancements to achieve and serve their core purpose, do you think they can be made accessible or affordable for all the classes in society? And if this is possible, how do you think this should be made?
So it's a question about making advances for all of society, is that correct?
So
yes.
well, equality in that
yes.
sense. How do you have...
This is a very important point, thank you. I didn't have time in my presentation. In fact, I took 2 slides out yesterday. I was sad to take these slides out, so I'm pleased that you've raised this point. For me, I'm passionate about equality of access, particularly to healthcare in our world. It is my privilege to travel in some of the poorest countries on earth, to places like Congo. Congo is the poorest, DRC Congo is the poorest nation on earth in income per person, even though it is one of the wealthiest, or should be, in terms of minerals, if there was peace. And I think of Zimbabwe and the poorest parts of India and so on. And even within wealthy societies like Saudi Arabia, there are also contrasts. And I believe that it is absolutely vital for a peaceful, happy, and fulfilled and contented society that we provide the basics of health and education for all. And the really good news is this, on health, that the cost of healthcare, although we see in the news that the cost of healthcare is rising every day, actually this is not quite true. If you look at pharmaceuticals, if you look at the price of a drug, 95% of the price of the drug is the royalty payment you pay for the research. You pay it back to the company that invested it. But after 10 years, usually, that patent has lapsed. It's 25-year patent life, 15 years is lost in developing, you have 10 years to sell, and then it's basically a gift to humankind, and it's manufactured and sold at cost. So the most wonderful thing is this, that the very poorest people on earth, 10 years after the very most expensive drugs on earth are released, are able to have access at a 95% price reduction to the very best treatments that are available. I'm pleased about that. And it's just part of the way in which I believe humankind can improve itself. But we have a lot to do. Thank you.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. دكتور باتريك ديكسون تحدث عن أهمية المشاعر والدافعية في العلوم والاختراعات. إذا كان تحديد المشكلات وإيجاد حلول لها هو من أهم مولدات الدافعية، فكيف يمكن مواجهة ثقافة إخفاء المشكلات ومواجهة ثقافة التطوير خوفا من التغيير والتطوير، وما أثر ذلك على المجتمع ومؤسسات الدولة؟
Did you follow the question? Or?
Yes,
okay.
This is a complicated and sensitive question. I would be answering very carefully if I was in Moscow today, or China. I think, for example, until recently in China, it was against the law to publish information about air pollution in the city of Beijing. Now, it's changed, and the Chinese government has made it a law that the information must be published every day in 170 nations on air quality, because they have come to see that this kind of information is a benefit to society. They were afraid that if you publish information like this, it will make people unhappy. It will make them revolutionary even. Now they come to see that suppressing this information creates mistrust. So this is a fine balance for governments. On the one hand, you want people, the population to be happy. On the other hand, you do not want them to be suspicious. So I think that governments around the world, and it's not just in China, but I think around the world are experimenting with this issue of openness and are discovering that actually to reveal problems in society can be a good stimulus to change. And it can provoke people to sort things out, whether it's to clean up an industry that is polluting the river, or whether it's to prevent, let's say, the abuse of a handicapped child in a home. You know, I think that we have, yes, so that's the trend. I see the trend towards greater openness in a cautious and considered way.
Excellent.
Excuse me.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. معكم الطالب عبد الله غزاية مطيري من منطقة القصيم. أولاً السؤال الأهم، هل لابد أن يكون في الحاضر استعداد لمستقبل مشرق حتى يكون المستقبل مشرق؟
سؤال موجه لمين ابوي؟
لمن يحسن الإجابة؟
Did you hear the question? دكتور لو تكرمت لو تعيد السؤال ابوي، وبعدين لو تكرمت ابى اشر عليه لان كذا ضيعتوني انا قاعد ادور يمين وشمال من اللي قاعد يسال السؤال، لانه الاخ كان سائل طالب المايك قبل، فلو تعيد السؤال لو تكرمت.
هل لابد من استحضار الاستعداد في الحاضر لمستقبل مشرق حتى يكون المستقبل مشرق ام لا؟ ام هو بلازم يعني استعداد؟
هل يجب ان نستعد للمستقبل؟
مثل ما قلت قبل شوي، يعني احنا ما عمرنا كنا مستعدين لاي تقنية أو تكنولوجيا جديدة، دائما تأتي وتعيد تشكيل تفكيرنا وطريقة تعاملنا معها. المستقبل، ذكرت المستقبل والمشرق، المستقبل يعني دعونا نتحاشى يعني إضفاء الألفاظ الكريمة عليه. احنا ما ندري هو المستقبل راح يكون، المستقبل يواجه تحديات، هذه هي الكلمة يعني المعبرة عنه. ذكر الدكتور ديكسون أن المعارف تتضاعف مرة كل سنتين. هل يعقل أن نتعامل مع هذه المعارف المتفجرة بنفس الآلية في التعليم؟ احنا ندرس الآن حتى الواحد يدخل الجامعة 12 سنة 16 سنة حتى ياخذ شهادة بكالوريوس. هذا السيستم، هذا النظام وجد قبل أكثر من 120 سنة. خلال هذه 120 سنة كم مرة تضاعفت المعارف وتضاعفت العلوم، وما زلنا على ال 16 سنة هذه. المسألة مسألة أكثر يعني من محاولة أن نستشرف مستقبل نكون يعني كلنا نصفق له، ويعني يكون وجوهنا ملأة بالابتسامة. نحن نريد في الحقيقة أن نستعد له، أن نقفز إلى مستوى التحديات اللي تواجه البشرية اليوم، نواجه بالأسئلة التي لا نملك لها إجابة. فالإجابة طبعا لا، إذا تريد إجابة سريعة جدا لا، لكن هل عندنا القدرة، هل الإنسان لديه القابلية على التكيف لمواجهة تحديات أكبر؟ هذه هي الحقيقة الوحيدة اللي نؤمن فيها في هذا الكون، أننا فعلا القفزات المتلاحقة اللي واجهت الإنسانية كان الخصة الوحيدة اللي مكنت الإنسان منها هي القدرة على التأقلم وصناعة يعني حلول لمشاكل قد لا تطرأ البشرية في السابق. قبل 200 سنة كان الوسيلة الوحيدة أنك تطير أن يكون لديك مكنسة الساحرة العجوز، يعني أو بساط الريح، لكن فقط قبل 200 سنة. لكن القدرة على يعني صناعة آلة ضخمة من التقنيات المتضافرة أعطتك الجت انجن والمحرك النفاث اللي يأخذك من مكان إلى مكان، وهناك العديد من التقنيات القادمة.
Can I just add one comment? I think there are three things that we can do to prepare, which are fundamental. The first is we can encourage young people to be curious, to be always learning. And, you know, the people I love being with are people who are always interested in other people. Whenever they meet someone, they're always asking them, how interesting, and what about you and your culture? Always be curious. Secondly, always be questioning. And I know that can make for a very awkward life. If you have a lot of people who are always challenging and questioning, say, why? Every great scientist says, why? You know, why? Why does it have to be this shape? Why do we have to do it this way? Why can't we do it a different way? So always be curious and interested, always be questioning, and so never accept the answer you're given. Say, why? There must be a different way. And the third thing is always be agile, ready to change. And if we can train the young people to be curious, questioning, and able to cope with change, then I believe we have provided an insurance policy for the kingdom that will take us through the next 100 years.
Excellent. Last question. Wait.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. معكم الطالب عبد الله محمد خشيل من بيشة. طبعا أشكر الدكتور باتريك والدكتور خالد على المعلومات اللي استفدنا منها. وسؤالي للدكتور خالد، طبعا في مقولة تقول أن إذا كانت طريقة تفكيرك وأنت في 20 من العمر نفسها في 40 في العمر، معناتها أنها ضعت 20 سنة. هل توافقني هذه المقولة؟ شكرا.
طبعا، لأن احنا نسمع كثيرا واحد يقول لك أنا عندي خبرة 20 سنة، هي في حقيقة خبرة سنة واحدة تكررت 20 مرة. بالضبط لابد أن يكون عند الإنسان القدرة على مساءلة الإجابات الحاضرة والقفز. مثل ما قال الدكتور باتريك، المعلومات تتضاعف، فلابد أن يكون عندك المرونة العقلية لتغيير قناعاتك الحاضرة، التأقلم مع حقائق جديدة على الواقع. مثل ما قلت يعني تقريبا نصف المعلومات اللي درسها في المدرسة ليست حقيقية الآن. يعني إذا أريد أن أطبقها راح أواجه مشاكل يعني علمية واقتصادية كبرى. فلابد، أو أعتقد هذه هي الرسالة الأسمى للتعليم، أن تكون بدلاً من أن توفر لك إجابة على الأسئلة، أن تعطيك آلية مساءلة الإجابات والتطور المعرفي عبر السنوات اللي يمر بها الإنسان.
شكرا دكتور. رجاء تشكرون معي المتحدثين الاثنين على محاضرتهم الرائعة، وإذا كان عندكم أسئلة، وعارف الكثير كان عندهم أسئلة، يمكن بعد الجلسة هذه لو تسألونهم على انفراد. شكرا.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It was excellent.
إذا نتقدم بجزيل الشكر لرئيس الجلسة والمتحدثين، وأدعو سعادة الدكتور عادل بن عبد الرحمن القعيد نائب الأمين العام رئيس لجنة التنفيذية للمهرجان من أجل تكريم المتحدثين ورئيس الجلسة. إذا نبدأ بالدكتور باتريك ديكسون. وأيضا الدكتور خالد سليمان اليحيا. ورئيس الجلسة الدكتور أنس الفارس. إذن الإخوة والأخوات الكرام، ندعوكم لتقييم هذه الجلسة من خلال الاستمارة الإلكترونية، من خلال مسح هذا الQR. بإمكانكم الدخول مباشرة إلى هذا الاستبيان الإلكتروني وتقييم هذه الجلسة. كما أيضا نأمل منكم وضع أجهزة الترجمة أو الاستماع للترجمة على الطاولة أو على الكراسي، إبقائها على الكراسي. ونذكركم بمحاضرات المساء اليوم التي ستبدأ في تمام الساعة 6، وهي بعنوان نماذج وطنية وقصص نجاح، تبدأ في تمام الساعة 6. إذن نلقاكم في تمام الساعة 6 مساء، وأيضا غدا بإذنه تعالى في تمام الساعة 10 صباحا. على دروب الخير نلتقي دائما إن شاء الله، والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.